Alright. Now, there's a lot that I actually want to say about.
The walker has been equipped with a new function.
Hold on.
It is now able to hack computers just like DirectEye.
Okay, as I was saying, there's a lot that I want to mention about this episode, so I'll get to it right after this little intro.
Reclaiming this sector could shift the war in our favor. Join with our squadron and launch a counterattack.
Understood.
Alright, so I don't know why, but for whatever reason, editing this episode specifically has just been so cursed, and I don't know why. To give you kind of,
bad as it looks, Star Fox.
usually when I'm editing these, it's not too bad. Sometimes my the video editing software that I use, sometimes it lags a little bit, and so you'll just have to close it out and then load it back up, so it's not that big a deal. But for whatever reason, when I was editing this one episode, it crashed like 3 separate times, which was super annoying. Luckily, it has a built-in autosave feature, so every time that I would open it back up, I was able to just, resume my progress right where I was. So that was at least nice, but still, I was like, come on, man. Why did it crash so many times?
I can't tell who's who out here.
So that was super annoying. And then on top of that, you'll see later in this video, I'll mention it, when it comes to it, but there was just some console issues I had at one point, and then also because a lot of the, all these voices that come through on this come through the gamepad, there was some audio issues that I had also later on. So it was just an entire process for whatever reason to get this done. But you know what they say, like 4th time's the charm or something. I'm just glad that I finally got it all working and everything, which is such a relief. But anyway, as I'm playing this right now, the new Star Fox on the Switch just came out, and I'm probably going to get around to playing it around.
Then you'll really enjoy this. All crew, brace for impact.
Anyway, sorry.
We've been hit.
It's trying to figure out how to talk and
If we keep taking shots
let
like that, we're done for.
the game voice
I don't
lines
know
come
how
through.
much more of this we can take.
At the same time.
Broadcasting to
But,
all
yeah.
units, you must get through that shield.
The new Star Fox on the Switch came out very recently, and I ordered myself a copy, so it'll be here in about a week. I don't know when I'm actually going to start it yet, because I still have, I'm thinking I'll probably try and finish this first before I get in,
Charge the main cannon.
before I go in and start the remake, but I haven't fully decided yet, because this game is not super long, and there's a bunch of some bonus content and stuff that they have
I'm through the enemy shield.
that I plan on playing,
How did he get in? Shoot him down now.
but
I analyzed the ship. The shield generator is
I'm
on
like,
deck near the top.
It's all up to you, Fox.
other than that, there's not a ton of planets left on this, so it'll probably only take like something like I'm thinking probably somewhere between 4 and 6 more episodes, most likely, based on just where I'm at right now and how it looks on the footage, but kind of unclear on that, so we'll kind of have to see, you know, just play it by ear how it goes. But I'll probably, once I get the new Star Fox, I'll probably start recording
Enemy
it,
shield neutralized.
and then
Preparing to fire the main cannon. All units get clear.
after,
Cannon ready. Countdown.
and then so after I
2.
get the new Star Fox game, then I'm going to probably start playing through it, because honestly, like, outside of probably doing some multiplayer and other things,
Thanks for the save.
the main story, you know, shouldn't take that long if it's just, you know, base Star Fox 64, because
I'm glad
I
we're on the
have
same team, Fox.
a playthrough of
You owe me
Star
one.
Fox 64 on my channel already, and I think it's only like
Hold up, we've got incoming.
like an hour long or something. So I don't imagine it's gonna take all that long,
Cat, what are you doing here?
but I'll probably
was that
wait till
any way to
I
greet a
finish
lady?
uploading all these episodes
This
before
is
I
Star
start
Fox.
that.
State your purpose.
Just checking in. So you're friends with Falco? Fancy that.
But, you know, we'll see how it goes. I'm probably also going to,
Fox, eyes up top. Star Wolf.
I'll probably also make like a bonus episode and stuff of like the multiplayer mode, because it's definitely interesting. So I want to, you know, check it out, see how it plays.
answer to me.
And I plan on doing a review video after I play through probably at least the 2, I'd say, like, more main stories, being, you know, the hard route and the easy route. But, you know, I haven't decided how it got. At this point, I don't have the game yet, so.
Hold together.
But that's just kind of, you know, the plan for now.
Down before the great
So.
Leon.
Probably just segue, you know,
Location
straight from
confirmed. Watch for supplies.
this playthrough straight into that playthrough. But
I was expecting so much more from you.
I will say, you know, I've kind of mentioned it in probably like every episode, honestly, thus far. But I'm like, I do hope that the Star Fox 64, you know, remake, Switch 2 remake does well, just because I would love for them to, you know, continue this series and actually, you know, do a bunch of stuff with it. I think they honestly, you know, they have such a good formula for, like, the style of Star Fox. I think the problem was just with, you know, the GameCube games, and then a lot of the other ones, they kind of just kept remaking 64, and then they, you know, kept deviating from, I feel like, the formula that worked. And so I would really like them to, you know, not basically abandon the Star Fox series, and somewhere down the line in the future actually give us some new games that kind of use that, you know, quick-paced, like, linear and free-flying, you know, just like run-and-gun type thing, because honestly, it works super well in my opinion.
Playtime is over, Star Fox.
But you know, we'll see how it goes. But I think, you know, I think a lot of people will probably, you know, get it
I have you in my sights.
for nostalgia reasons anyway, because I know some people who, you know, have already picked it up day one because, you know, they love the original. So I have a feeling that it'll at least, you know, do okay, but I definitely understand the complaints that people have been making about it, because I'm like, yeah, I totally get the fact that, like, you know, how many remakes of 64 have we had at this point? But
Hey, eyes front.
still, you know, still either way, I'm gonna, you know, give it a shot and give it, you know, my non-professional review, because let's be honest, you know, I don't know how much my opinion is really gonna matter to you, but, you know, I'll throw it out there, you know, when I have the option to. And that's kind of, you know, one thing that I've been kind of wanting to segue a little bit into switching up a little bit, is that
Is that the best you can do?
I've been wanting to try some, like, new styles of content.
Peppy!
Because, you know, I don't plan to stop playing games anytime soon, you know, but I also think that,
You've done enough.
It
Let
would
the
be-
reinforcements handle the rest.
it would be a lot of fun to kind of, you know, start doing some personal kind of like ranking videos, or kind of like personal reviews on some new games that come out that I'm super interested in, because,
Rob, can you get a lock on Peppy's location?
you know, it's like,
I am picking up Peppy's
I
signal
feel
from
like we're
planet
just in
Arcadia.
a, you know, day and age of so many
I sure
opinions
hope
that it's
Peppy's
hard
okay.
to, you know, kind of know
Only
how
one way to
you
find
feel
out.
about it. So it's like, if there's ever, you know, a game that comes out and, you know, it kind of feels conflicting to a bunch of people, it's like, I might as well, you know, throw my opinion in the ring for as much as it's worth, which, you know, depending on the person, might not be very much at all, but, you know, I think it would be a fun just deviation from the norm that I've been doing with videos in general, just to switch it up a bit. Because, gonna be honest, sometimes just sitting here editing, you know, videos one after another can totally get kind of tedious. 100%, but
We must press on, no matter the cost.
We're not leaving Peppy behind.
But if they were to make a new Star Fox game, I wonder, you know, if they would keep, you know, some of the planets, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it makes sense to have Corneria and Venom kind of be like, you know, staple first and last planets,
We'll watch from up here.
which just kind of makes sense, but
Oh, Peppy, where are
I think this whole sequence is kind of,
I'm sure he's fine.
this, like, whole sequence that they do here is, like, kind of annoying in a sense, just because of, the map itself is, you know, different from 64, but literally, you know, they pulled, like, the same stunt, just instead of Slippy, it's Peppy that you have to go rescue on Titania. And so I feel like this is, you know, where you get a lot of the, you know, Star Fox Zero ends up just being, Star Fox 64 that they changed ever so slightly. And I think this is, like, prime example of just stuff that they didn't have to do, but they did anyway. Although I will say, at least it is, you know, a different level. And I think this is the only, I want to say this is the only, like, chance you really get to use the Landmaster in this version. Honestly, I don't 100% remember,
Personally, I prefer the air.
but I'm like, I think this is pretty much like the only chance you really get to use the Landmaster, so, and it at least controls and feels, you know, nice, unlike, honestly, I can't even remember the vehicle's name, but whatever that vehicle's name is on Zonus, that, like the gyroplane or whatever. I that, you know, I've openly said that I hate using that thing. So, anything over that, you know, I will take, for sure.
Whoa! Look out!
Don't get sloppy because Peppy's not here. That's a rookie mistake.
I do think that this, for some reason, I swear, like, these Landmaster levels always just feel, you know, so difficult. I don't know if I'm just, you know, bad at the game or what, but I feel like there's a lot of these like special vehicle levels that feel a lot harder. And to be fair, I think the Andross battle is also kind of is really difficult in this game, but I also feel like it's just not implemented as well as some of the other Andross boss fights. I think this main struggle for me personally is that they, you know, try and use the like the walker vehicle, which admittedly, you know, is kind of a fun vehicle in this one to use. But I think just the way that it's designed makes it like really feel really unfair and disorienting to dodge because, you know, you're looking at gamepad controls and that kind of stuff. So, but you know, I'll get more into complaining about that boss fight when we actually get into having to deal with that, because I imagine it's going to take me several attempts to go in and actually beat that. But kind of segueing back a little bit to the, you know, Switch remake, the Switch 2 remake of the Star Fox 64 is, I think one of the things that I've heard is, you know, that they've replaced a bunch of like the iconic lines, and I feel like, you know, that's always just so difficult to deal with, you know, as you remake the game over and over and over again, especially like getting, you know, the same voice actors from what late 1990s to come back. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the guy who voiced Peppy in the original N64 is also the guy who voiced Soldier in Team Fortress 2, and unfortunately he's passed away, so, you know, kind of makes it impossible to bring back all the voice actors, and, you know, there might be several others that have unfortunately already passed away too. And I think like a good example of, you know, kind of like thinking about, like, you know, the voice actors of stuff, and it's just like, it's kind of sad sometimes if you know, if you are like a fan of like a certain show and, you know, it's been running for a long time and the voice actors are still, you know, the voice actors, but I feel like you can sometimes hear just like how age has really strained some of like the voices that people do. And I think like a good example of that is some of the characters from, you know, the SpongeBob cast. I feel like, especially like SpongeBob and like Squidward and Mr. Krabs, their voices just sound like, you know, so different nowadays, because I think, you know, age is just kind of catching up to them, and it's always just sad to hear that it's just like, you know, it's cool that, you know, they're still doing these like iconic characters that, you know, they basically helped create, but at the same time, you know, it's just sad to hear kind of the deterioration in their voice. And I think another like big example is Mark Hamill's the Joker, because I feel like it just, you know, felt like so natural.
Blackbird's grapple bait. If it gets you, you'll be dragged in.
I'm like, it just felt, you know, like so natural, like when he first started doing that, and then, like, he'll still, you know, put on the jokey voice, I feel like, for, like, roles or skits or stuff, like, still nowadays, and, you know, it just, like, you know, it still sounds like his, you know, version of the Joker, but you can tell that it's just, there's nothing different.
That thing just burrowed underground.
And so I feel like it's just so hard
It's preparing to attack.
to, you know, kind of keep, like, these voice actors for, you know, any series that just goes on and on and on. Just because, you know, at some point you gotta wonder, you know, like, just if it just becomes too much a strain on their voice, or, you know, sometimes, it's, you know, I can imagine some voice actors, you know, might just not want to do it anymore. But it's, like, crazy to me because even, you know, like, Charles Martinet, iconic, you know, voice of Mario, isn't doing Mario anymore. Which is just, you know, it just feels, like, so weird. But at the same time, I wish I knew the name of the current guy. But whoever the guy is that is doing, you know, the replacement voice for it, he's honestly doing a really good job.
I'll grab that worm out of the dirt myself if I have to.
But it's just one of those things that it's just like, yeah, you know, it's I feel like it's just, you know, tough. And, you know, not to say that, you know, a lot of these, you know, new voice actors are bad or anything, but kind of the whole point of, you know, my long tangent and spiel is just that sometimes it's hard to, you know, revisit, like, something that gives you so much nostalgia and then just kind of see how it's changed. Because I feel like, you know, with anything super nostalgia related, I mean, it's just so difficult to, you know, take off, like, the nostalgia glasses no matter what, because it's kind of like that with like, me and Donkey Kong 64, because it's kind of weird, because I feel like there's some people that have played Donkey Kong 64 and have genuinely been like, I have not enjoyed this, like, at all. And, like, especially after, you know, playing, like, randomizers and doing other stuff, you can definitely see, like, a bunch of the flaws in you know, like, the base game, and where there could be, you know, a lot of, like, improvements made. And, like, I can definitely see that, but I'm just like, dude, that used to be, like, my #1 favorite game of all time, and, you know, wow. I can agree, you know, now that there's definitely some things with it that are, you know, frustrating at times. Still, I would never, you know, say that, like, I dislike the game at all. Like, it's still, you know, highly regarded in my eyes, despite all the, maybe, you know, all the frustrations it has. I'm looking at you, Rabbit Race. Or Beetle Race. Both of them suck. But I think, you know, just because of how, you know, how nostalgia works, man, you know, it just has a special place, you know, for everyone, and, you know, it's going to be hard to ever replace that for people. But this is what I was kind of talking about earlier, where, you know, I said we had some issues because my game crashed. And immediately afterwards, I had some audio issues because I had to turn back on the Wii U and everything and get everything all set up, and The annoying part about this is because the audio comes in through the Wii U gamepad, you have to plug in basically the audio through to the capture cord, basically coming out of the gamepad and recording that audio. So, but yeah, this whole video was kind of chaos to get working, but hey, you do what you need to.